Good evening and welcome to Just Seriously Voicing Thoughts with me, Kriss Venugopal. And today I have the pleasure of inviting a person who can freeze time. Yeah, not a magician, but a photographer with a difference. A senior project manager with Nakhil. He is a photography enthusiast who specializes in macro photography and nature photography, especially anything about insects. That's the specialty. And let's greet and welcome Manu Reghurajan to Just Seriously. Good evening, Manuji. I think you're on mute. If you can unmute.
Yeah, good evening, Chris. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
The first thing, let me open with that statement where somebody told that the quest for freezing a moment in time, that's what led to the discovery of photography. Now, for you, the photography, it goes into nature and then it goes into insects. And you have specialized in that one particular field. That's the kind of focus which everyone should actually find. How did you actually get into macro photography and especially on insects, and that too specialized to this level?
It's a bit of a story how I get into photography.
Uh-huh.
Uh, uh, Until 2011, I haven't touched a camera. I haven't owned a camera.
Oh,
Uh, in 2011, uh, I got a lottery ticket. It's not lottery ticket actually. I bought some mangoes from Lulu Center, and there is a
okay.
draw, and they offered me a trip to Malaysia.
Hmm.
So since I'm going for a free trip to Malaysia, I thought of buying a camera. So
Okay.
I went and bought a DSLR camera,
Right.
and I don't know how to use it. So I put it in a macro mode, auto mode, and I was taking pictures during the trip.
Hmm.
Then I met accidentally someone. Uh, his name was Joseph, and he asked me, you are a good photographer. You are having a DSLR camera with you.
Okay.
I I looked at him and said, I'm shooting in auto mode. I bought it 1 week back only. I have
Uh-huh.
I'm not into photography, just trying out. Then he said, why don't you when you come back to Dubai, we have a group of photographers
Hmm.
mentored by on Mr. Arfan. He
Hmm.
is well-known photographer from Karnataka. Why don't you come and join us? We every weekend we go out for photography. So I thought, good. So when I came back to Dubai, I joined the group, and there I find my mentor, Muhammad Arfan Asif, and he taught me the basics of photography. Then for the initial couple of years, it was we were going out on all Friday weekends.
Hmm.
At that time, Friday was holiday in Dubai,
Right.
and we start early mornings, like 4 o'clock, very early morning. I used to take my son also; he was a kid at that time, and we go to take all type of photography,
Hmm.
architecture, pictorial, street, and whatever camel races and bike this sports photography of jumping bikes, then birds, so whatever. Then we have we upload photos in a platform called Ning, and there is feedback, and we have small competitions and a lot of learning sessions. And
Hmm.
for 2 years I was going around and shooting all. Then I found out my interest is in nature photography,
Hmm.
and s- more specific, I tried many subjects in nature. I tried wildlife, I tried birds, and then ultimately I found my focus or my interest is macro photography, that is insects.
Right.
So that's how I end up with the insect photography, and I have been practicing this from last 12 years.
See, 12 years into insects, you probably are now well versed with the kind of insects which is prevalent in the UAE. And we talk about, say, poisonous spiders, and we talk about locusts and all those different kinds of insects. So, what is the most difficult thing to ever picture? Because butterflies, people like, yes, that also comes into that category. Maybe ants and spiders and all the other insects. Which is the most difficult subject?
Uh, that's a interesting question. But when we go for insect photography, actually we love all insects. When
Mhm.
I start, a wasp, if I see a wasp, I'm afraid. Uh, that was when I started photography. That was it. And then later on, since when I involved more into this insect photography, I started. Let's see, I started loving them.
Mhm.
The fear went away, and I am not afraid to touch. I'm not afraid to take it without disturbing them. And different insects have different characters, different features. When you observe them closely, when you spend time with them, spend time in the nature, you will know its characteristics. Then
Right.
only you will be able to photograph them correct in the right way. If you know their character, or if they know how they act, their natural behavior, then you will get good photos. For example,
Right.
there is an insect called the robber fly,
Mhm.
which is a very small, very 2 maximum 2 centimeter, and it's a very carnivorous, or it's a insect. It's a killer. It
Mhm.
it wait on a particular branch of a tree, or a small leaf or something, and then it has excellent eyesight. When some fly or something fly in the air, it take off and then catch that prey on midair, and
Oh.
it come back to the same perch where it was sitting. It normal behavior is come back to the same place and sit there, and it pierces the prey with its proboscis. That's a sharp piercing
Mhm.
organ, and then inject some poison, which will melt away the insides of the prey, and it suck it and then throw away. This is the
Oh.
behavior. If you don't know its behavior, what will happen when it fly? You will try to go behind it. Then it will get feared and it will fly away. But if you know its character, you will set your legs and wait. It fly and it come back to the same perch.
Mhm. Mhm.
So these type of behaviors are there. So when you learn more about them, when you observe them in nature, then you will be able to capture the right pictures.
Probably those who are clicking pictures with the normal fixed focus cameras, and those who have a liking towards maybe mobile cameras, they often would click butterflies. But when it comes to the insect world, the ants and bees, they have a very organized life. Where ants, they are like the working ants, the way they move. Even they say an ant movement can even cut the rock. Or probably the bees, without the queen, the soldiers are not so very specific in how they behave. So when we look at those kind of organized, say, insect life, is there something to learn from them? Because you have been closely observing them for more than 12 years now.
Yeah, there is a lot. For example, ants, if you observe their behavior, how they, as a colony, how they move, how they carry their prey. When a big prey is coming, they're trying to move their prey. They are, working in unison, working together. These are all something which is very fulfilling to watch, and you can spend hours observing them and photographing them. I
Hmm.
have a pair of hands, an image of a pair of hands, which has done, which has got well appreciated. I have put them in exhibitions, and I have got gold medals for that particular picture. It is like two hands close together, and it appears like they are, very closely communicating. The image convey that, there are two friends talking to each other, like that.
Oh. No, when we talk about the animal world or the insect world, they are totally away from the human mind purview because humans are so all completely into themselves. Now, when it comes to interacting, like, have you ever had a difficult time, like wasp bites or maybe wasp sting? I should say wasp sting or any mishaps like that ever?
My mother used to have a garden, flower garden. Not
Hmm.
used to have, she is still having. She is the,
Okay.
she has a garden when I was a kid, and she still maintains that garden. And I used to get this wasp bites when I walked between her plants. The I was bit by wasp many times,
Oh.
but after I started this photography, I have never bitten by a wasp, or I have never been harmed by insects. while I was closely taking photos of insects, bees, and wasps, different type of wasps. I am not having that fear, and I was never bit by a wasp. I feel when you go into the nature with that attitude, that love for nature, when you are having that attitude, I think there is some message, or there is something conveyed to between the insects, and when you are there with that emotion.
Hmm.
That's what I feel. Yeah, this is there when you are going with some fear, or when you are going with some uh, anger, or something negative emotion towards them. I think it is automatically conveyed. This is I heard this from many nature photographers.
Hmm. Now, we have friends from all around the world, but specifically in Madagascar, there is the sunset moth, which is considered to be the most beautiful insect. Now, in your eyes, which is the most beautiful insect that can be picturized?
Actually, every insect, or every small being has its own beauty, and
Hmm.
there is one thing about beauty is something to, especially as a photographer, it has something to do with the light. In the right light, that is the good light, is in the morning light, when between half an hour before and half an hour after sunrise and sunset. This time when that light rays are there, everything appears beautiful. For small insects, in photography we call it backlighting. The light of the sun is behind the insect, and if we use some fill light from the front, uh, whatever be the insect, it will be very beautiful.
Right, right.
So it has something. The beauty has something to do with the light mainly.
Okay. Now, thinking of photography as, say, a hobby, or maybe like clicking pictures, what is the basic equipment what a person should have? Like, if you ask about, say, voice, I would say, yeah, you should have a decent mic and probably a recorder. But when it comes to camera, people talk about, say, Mark III, 5D Mark III, or they talk about high-end cameras. So, what is the equipment that one should have to start off? Because from your life, you're setting an example saying that it is never too late to start photography.
Just I start with a basic DSLR camera at that time. It was Canon 550D. It was very
Mhm.
basic, and it has a kit lens. And my mentor used to say always, don't go run behind the expensive equipment in the beginning. You
Mhm.
use base equipment, and then you learn. Then you shoot everything with base equipment. You will learn photography, and you will identify your niche subject, and then at a time you will feel that this is the time I should upgrade my equipment. So initially I was using this 550D for years, and I was having the kit lens. Then I bought another lens, which is also not very expensive, and that's what I was doing photography for a long time. Then when I found my interest in macro photography, then at that point of time I bought a macro lens, specific macro lens. It's a 100 macro lens Canon
Mhm.
f2.8. That's specification. And then I will be able, and I was able to do better or more close photography with in macro. And I used that lens for many years. And then recently I have went into this mirrorless camera and corresponding lenses. But
Mhm.
initial years, when you are exploring a base camera and base lens is good. But then when you go into, for example, you go into bird photography, and
Mhm.
you are very much into that, and you are going to spend, then expensive lenses are there. There is a saying that it is not the camera or equipment, it is the photographer behind. Even if I accept that, at some stages when you explore a specific subject to a specific level, then you may need to upgrade to a different level of equipment specifically for that purpose.
Mhm. So, does that mean that it's the camera or the lens, or both?
Uh, I would say both, but lens is more important. For a bird photography, if you have to reach birds which is at far away, then you may need a 600 lens. And
Mm-hmm.
the camera could be, if you want to have better quality, if you have better specification to catch insects or flying birds, then you need both be in a better way.
Right, right. Now, we are talking about an age where photography changed from film cameras, the 35 mm film cameras, or I started off probably with a Click 3 Agfa camera, which was like a 120 mm scrolling 12 pictured film. Then it moved on to Konica and Kodak, and they had the 35 mm fixed focus cameras. Now, the film is something which is so very not available, or maybe rarely available. Do you feel that the digital filming has changed the way photography is being observed now?
For me, as I haven't tried film cameras. I have heard, I have seen people using that in my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And as I told, I haven't. I was not into photography since I was 38, I believe. And I started actually with a DSLR camera. So I was not into film photography, but I am. I know that it has dramatically changed. The DSLR has dramatically changed the way the photographers approach photography. In the sense that the finance was it's a very important issue for in the film era.
Mm-hmm.
It was for only those people who can afford or who have more money or enough money to afford this photography as a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you shoot with the film, you don't know until you wash. You don't know what you have captured. Then after, one roll of film may go waste after you when you develop that in the studio. But with the digital era, digital photography, you can click thousand photographs without any impact on the pricing.
Right.
So,
Do you believe
and
that
you
clicking again and again at the same picture to get the perfect one, or do you wait for the right moment to click that one particular picture? Which
that
is
also
better?
depends. That also depends on the situation. Suppose you are taking a flying bird or a leopard chasing impala, then you will put it in the motor mode and then try to shoot as to get the right moment. You cannot wait for the right moment there. You just need to fire
Mm-hmm.
out 50 or 100 photos. It will go and you will end up with one of the good photos. This is one aspect of that. But on the other hand, in order to get this right moment of impala chasing or the cheetahs chasing the impala, you may need to wait for 3 or 4 hours. You may need to if it is in a safari vehicle, you will follow that cheetah for hours and have extreme patience to get this reach that right moment, and then you may shoot out continuous mode to get the right capture. The same in the macro photography also. uh, when it is catching some prey, it is having some action of feeding it, or in that moment you will be using, probably you will put it in motor mode and shoot out. But to reach that particular moment, you may need to wait for a long time.
Mm-hmm. No, the idea of photography really shifted when we started hearing 1 megapixel, 2 megapixel camera. To an extent of we are hearing about 200 megapixel camera on the phone. The phone now no longer is a device to call; it's a device to do a lot of stuff. So, did photography change its angle with the advent of photography with mobiles? Because
Yeah.
many
uh,
like winning prizes with Gulf News also. Gulf News also prints iPhone photography. So,
right.
yeah. So, does that bring in any change now?
There is. This First of all, let me talk about this megapixel thing. This is between the camera companies. Every year, you are getting a higher megapixel camera, bigger megapixels, and the idea is no need to run behind that. When you buy a camera, you stick to that for some time. You don't need to. After 6 months, you will have another camera with a bigger or higher megapixel facility, but
Mhm.
no need to run behind that. When you buy a camera, you use it for a few years to use it effectively, or you need to have your money value for your money.
Mhm.
And On the other hand, this mobile cameras, actually, these mobile cameras have improved a lot, and it is bringing up good results in even macro. Mobile cameras are performing well with certain. There are limitations, but the cameras are doing well, and there are attachments we can attach with the mobile camera to shoot, and
Mm-hmm.
it is convenient in a sense. But when you are doing macro photography as a real hobby, suppose you want to bring the difference will come when you actually try to print out on a bigger mode. If you are shooting in it is with a mobile camera, it will be good in a social media post. When you
Mm-hmm.
want to go up into a bigger print, sometimes it fails.
Oh,
uh,
oh.
it will have noise coming into that picture, and that sort of things are there.
Yeah. Do you believe that the age of black and white of pictures had a charm which is now taken over by the brilliant pictures of color?
Yeah, black and white photos have its own beauty, especially portraits.
Right.
My mentor is a portraiture specialist, and the portraiture photos, black and white photos, especially that of old people, have special beauty. And similarly, uh, where there is a big variations in lighting, play of shadow and light, black and white are good to for representation.
Mm-hmm.
And it both photography has its place, black and white photography as well as color photography, both has its own charm and its own attraction.
Mm-hmm. Now, the recent times, whatever you click can be altered, even the exposure or maybe the amount of the color or the hue, all the curves, everything can be adjusted later, even the focus now being adjusted later in a camera. Do you think that'll spoil the fun of photography, what is existing when you had to choose what you want?
Not really. The facility to adjust certain factors with Photoshop or the post processing photos are good. Even if you miss on the correct capture on certain things, you can specialist people can adjust in Photoshop.
Mhm.
But the point is the beauty or the enjoyment of capturing that photo in the right moment, in the right way, in the field is more fulfilling, and it will save you a lot of time. Also, you take a photo and it has a lot of flaws, and then you try to adjust that in Photoshop. You are wasting or you are spending a lot of time on that in front of the computer unnecessarily. This
Mhm.
is on. And if you are having the right exposure and the right focus and right composition from the site itself, and whatever adjustment you do in Photoshop, it will not match with if you are capturing exactly from the site. That is one
Mhm.
thing. And then another this using AI tools and using Photoshop to uh, merge different photos and doing art in photography on the table on the Photoshop or processing software, that's developing into another art form now. Creative photography or digital art or things like that. But then it all comes down to what you enjoy. Uh, for me, the enjoyment is spending time in the nature, taking that photos, rather than spending time in front of the computer and processing, making digital art. That's not my passion. But I'm not saying this is good and that is not good. Both as it's for people who enjoy that.
Right. Now, the kind of awards you've won in many international photographic salons. You've won gold medals and more than 150 awards you've won in specific acceptances. Now, you are a Lustre Award winner 2018 from Photo News Kerala, Gulf News Awards, and so many awards, and you've been published in something which is the most coveted publication, National Geographic. So, uh, like if a person wants to get into publishing one's pictures, what are the basic things he should be taking care of?
This is a different subject. Like you don't take my advice or my view is you don't take photograph for with an intention to publish.
Right.
You photograph for your, your enjoyment, your pleasure, your satisfaction. Then, if you feel you want to publish it, or you want to put it in social media, that you want to present it to your viewers, you need to, show to your audience to get,
Hmm.
some level of feedback, and what change that can bring, or in that case, publishing in different ways is either you send that to the publications directly. There are some readers columns, or you can send it as an article. Then you publish in participate in competitions. Then, if you are a winner, you get published
Hmm.
uh, different ways. Then you put it in social media competitions. You can do photography exhibitions. You can participate in exhibitions. Many ways are there.
Hmm. So, the idea of getting mentored, what are the main things to really learn? Like you've conducted so many workshops on how to do photography, especially in macro. What are the basic things which a person needs mentoring on? Because these days, getting a DSLR and putting it on auto mode makes them a photographer. Because I've seen people working on reels and people working on photography for social media. Even our phone might have about, say, 10,000 pictures, which never gets printed. So, what do you think is the right way to approach it?
Finding a right mentor is, I feel, personally, from my experience, I feel it's very important. And for learning, there are a lot of ways, lot of things to learn. You start from the basics of photography, right exposure, composition, and using the camera techniques and all. This is one thing. And then, the actual field experience, that you need to go, how to find the insects, how to, what is the nature, what is their behavior, how they react, and that sort of learnings. That you cannot have, you can that part you cannot learn from the books. It has to come from actual, training, or actual exposure, spending time in the site, and taking photographs, and getting feedback, processing it, try to understand where we went wrong, and implement that again. And that way you learn. In our system, we have our group is, the name is Shutterbugs Creative Forum. This is a closed group. We have like around 50 odd members. And what happens there is, like, the common, the initial people were, it's like what I have gone through. They put into 1 or 2 years of photographing everything. When they identify their passion, for example, I take care of that macro side. There is a group called Macro Cluster, who people who do insect photography. And when somebody has interest from the SPCF, they will be sent to with this group. So we are 4 or 5 people. We will be going out to outskirts of Dubai, Ajman, Ras Al Khaimah, and all. And we, in one Saturdays and Sundays, early mornings, we go out, and we spend time,
Right,
and we take photos together. So that learning will happen over a period of time, like 1 or 2 years. When you spend in the field every week, you will learn. You will learn not only photography, you will learn the nature, you will learn the insects, their behavior. Then we will come up with good photographs.
right.
That,
At this point, let me thank Atul, Thomas Mani sir, Fawaz Ali, Sanoop, Beatrice, Puram Shah, my mother Bhagyalakshmi, Manoj Pillai, Shaji Narayan and Kabir, Mohammed Tirumalai, Ranjit, Mohammed, Fanaiki, Surat, Semi, Soumya, that's my sister, Arun Prakash, Kanimuri, Ani, Faisal, Viren Bhatia, Arnab Basu, thank you very much for joining. And a few whom I have missed out, I was so engrossed in the talk, I really lost the count. So the floor is now open. Like if you have a question or if you want to interact with Manuji, yes, you can raise your virtual hand and I can bring you upstage so that you can interact with Manu Reghurajan, the person who has special interest in macro photography and is a photographer who has won so many awards and accolades and recognitions around the world. So, coming to that question, uh, we have two different terrains. Like you're from Kerala, you're from Kollam, a tropical zone, and you have UAE, where the desert climate and the desert environment has nature has two different ends. Now, what do you feel nature at its best when it comes to insects? Is it our Kerala, or is it the desert area where the insects are so very uh, good in, say, getting the pictures of them?
That's a very interesting question. Yeah. Uh, the answer, you feel it is obvious that the Kerala is full of green and you have a lot of insects and you don't expect much in the desert arid climate of UAE, right? That's what we
Right.
think initially. I was
Right.
also thinking the same. But then we found many species of insects, beautiful insects. Now the temperature here is at 50 degree. Even
Hmm.
if you go out, it's 50 degrees, and you will find completely dry vegetation. You can find a lot of insects, butterflies,
Right.
and actually my two distinctions of a gold distinction in photographic
We're
society of
specific
America.
in the insects of the
Yeah, specific on insect apiary, and specifically this panel is for insects in completely brown, dried out background.
hmm
So I have shot this panel of insects. This all the images from a specific plot within the Dubai city,
hmm
where the summer season when it is completely dried out, it is brown background, completely there is no green at all, and all these images I found in those particular dry hot climate, which was unbelievable actually to me.
Right, right, right. Now they say a photograph is truth frozen in a moment, and film is truth multiplied by 24, say 24 times in a second. So, do you ever feel that photography will pave the way for you to move into videography or cinematography?
Uh, I never thought of that. As I was telling, my interest was in always still photography when I started, and I'm happy with. Mainly, I enjoy what I'm doing. I think that's more important, and I haven't tried the videography.
Right, right. Now, if you're like teaching someone, how much time does it take to really understand the basics and go ahead being a photographer? At least like a skilled photographer.
As I said, the teaching the basics could be 1 week, could be understanding the basics, but then really taking the photos and evaluating that and exploring different type of photography, identifying your niche photography, this is going to take time, like say at least 2 years to find your uh, real interest in photography,
Hmm.
a real interest field in photography. In SPCF, our mentor, I can see Arfan sir is here, our mentor is here, good to note that. And what he normally do is he have, I think, four sessions. He call it Shutterfly course, and two sessions, 2 hour sessions, I believe. We'll do theory and then 4 hours practical sessions with him, and then we put into the group to go out and real actual photography, get then post it in the platforms and to take feedback, and that learning process is long, interesting, takes time.
Hmm. So, with a basic equipment and say 1 week of mentorship, maybe you can start off, but 2 years will actually set you into being a photographer, and maybe 12 years will make you a specialist. That's what I understand. But the post-COVID era, it has now opened up an idea that everything can be online. So, do you believe that photography also can be taught online, or does it need personal mentoring? Like you have to work with a person to understand how it is actually done.
Online, up to certain extent you can learn things online, but then as I said, there is limitation to online learning. When you want to take photography, you cannot take photography online, you need to actually go to site, right?
Right.
You need to go, yeah.
No, because I think in a few years from now, people will also learn swimming and driving cars online because that's the kind of trainings which are happening these days because the kind of thought has changed. That's why I asked, like, can photography be mentored online? Because many people would like to be, say, even as you said, Alphonsus, yeah. So if people approach Alphonsus or you to get an idea about uh, say probably getting into the field of photography is online medium.
It's definitely possible. There is a lot of online photography courses happening, but as I said, there you can learn up to a certain limit. But then you want to uh, do the actual photography at the site. Nothing like we have a mentor along with you at the site, going
Mm.
out for photography. Then you will learn the practical techniques, techniques at site.
So, if you have a question, yes, we have Tanaki who has raised her hand. Now, Tanaki, yes, the stage is all yours.
Uh,
We'll
Thank you so
have the
much,
floor.
Dr. Chris. And thank you so much, Manu, for sharing your passion of photography. And yes, I can say that it's very good since myself, I love to take photography, but I'm not a professional. I just only love it taken with my phone. But surely it makes a difference when you are using professional camera and all. And when Dr. Chris said about the moth, like the most beautiful insect in the world, I was just thinking, yeah, that's good because I have the opportunity to see it one time in my life, and I can see that yes, they are beautiful. So when it comes to insect, they are moving, right? Like bees are flying, like all of them are moving. We can just say cheese and they will just race. So how difficult it is to take a photography of an insect, and we know that it's like one in a lifetime what you take. And can you narrate a story when you have to take a photo of an insect and it was very difficult?
Fadaki, thank you for your comments. And moving insects, taking photograph of moving insects. I have been trying to do this for specifically I was trying to capture insects on flight. That was a very difficult attempt or difficult exercise. This I have captured certain insects on flight. It requires certain adjustments and certain techniques which I try out and was doing. And I got a specific image where there is a bee which cuts a leaf. It's called leaf cutter bee. It cut the leaf like it's using a scissor, and then it fly off that with that piece of leaf. And I was able to capture an image of that particular bee flying with a folded leaf. That image I have exhibited on photography exhibition. There was an exhibition held in for Farm Gym with the sponsorship of the Dubai municipality. I had an exhibition there, and I have put this as a exhibit there.
Wow, that's very impressive.
Well, thank you,
Thank
Tanaki. And we have Soumya Santosh, who is the academic head for Pikiri School, Bolachi. Yes, Soumya, the stage is all yours.
Yeah, hi Manu.
Hello, hi Soumya.
Just wanted to ask, like I have heard um, some people saying that be it any camera, be it any phone, the beauty of the photography is in the hands of the person or the lensman. Is it true? Do you agree to it?
Yeah, actually, Chris has asked the same question before. Up to certain extent, that is a correct statement. It is the photographer is not doing the photography, not the equipment. But when you go to a specific subject and when you go deep, the equipment will start playing a role also. For example, as a macro photography, if I am doing macro photography without a macro lens, there is a lot of limitations. Even if I am a good photographer, if I don't have the right equipment, there are certain limitations. But uh, up to certain extent, yes, the photographer is more important than the equipment.
My brother is also a very good photographer. He clicks,
Good.
so he clicks good photos. Uh, so thank you so much, Manu.
Thank you, Sonia.
Now, let me get to another aspect of nature photography. Now, everyone wants pictures of nature's beauty, and there are a lot of people who also capture the sad part of nature, where the storms or kind of the desert storms, all those pictures. Now, how difficult is nature to handle? Because we tamper with nature so much. and we try to click pictures of its beauty as well as the devastating side. What do you think about that thought?
That is something which I haven't tried, but as I said, uh, uh, taking photos of the fury of nature, or the like a storm or something. This is a great, actually, for a photographer's point of view. It's a great opportunity for the photographer to, when there is a storm, certain people chase storm, and then they took photographer photographs, the cloud formations, the trees, and the movement of the trees, the sand flowing, and certain that's some good photographic occasions. But for me, I haven't tried.
Yeah, they say the most clicked nature
Hmm.
is the dead volcano in Fujiyama. Do
Mm.
you, that is just an overrated statement? Do you think there are other spots, or maybe in nature, in the point of view of any photographer, can really change the way we look at it?
Mm. This is actually some photographers, for landscape photographers.
Hmm.
Uh, these are, great opportunities, or great places to take photographs, like Grand Canyon in US, and such terrains. Ladakh is a very interesting place for landscape photography.
Hmm.
I have been to Ladakh once, and I have took some good landscape photos. But for me, that's landscape is not my interest, not my prime interest. But as a person who enjoys the beauty of nature, that's a splendid place. There are great landscapes, and landscape photographers, enjoy taking, or they enjoy taking photos of landscapes.
Yeah, specifically that region of the world. If you look at, say, Oman, the place Muscat. Muscat has its own beauty where the light diffuses with the mountains, and the throughout the day, it's rather the same kind of a glowing feel you get. Say for films, that is supposed to be a blessing where you don't have hard light. It's always a bounce from the mountains. And there is, again, if you take Oman as such, if you take Salalah, that's a place where during the Kharif, the kind of rain is so different, and the bees you find there, the kind of flowers and bees, what you get in Salalah is so very different. Have you ever felt that beauty of Salalah, or maybe say Oman as such, other than UAE? Which are the other countries which you really feel that for insect photography or for nature photography, what your choice is?
Chris, I haven't visited Salalah. I planned a couple of times, but I didn't go. But I was into Oman, but never Salalah.
Hmm.
But I have visited other places, like I have been to Sri Lanka, I have been to Malaysia, and I have been to
Hmm.
Kenya to take wildlife photography. And
Yeah,
the
Kenya,
places are
Manuji,
Kenya.
Kenya, they actually say that there is a time when the bees would actually become clouds and move. Is that what you're?
For Kenya, I went to mainly people go for wildlife photography, actually, for the Masai Mara. And for when we talk about insect photography, actually that is the beauty of it. You don't need to travel to another continent or another country to capture insects. You just need to move a few feet away and sit down and closely watch. You will find your subjects. That's the advantage of having insect as your subject. While
Right.
if I have to shoot lion, I need to travel to Masai Mara, which is for I can do maximum of once in a year. You know, there are limitations.
Right. So, breaking limitations, we are having a chat with Manu Reghurajan, who is a specialist awarded macro photographer. And just seriously letting you know that if all you have to do to interact with Manu is just to raise your virtual hand, and I can bring you up stage so that you can interact with Manu himself. Coming back to our subject of nature, insects, and photography. Now, does that, like, how far does that bring in support from the family? What do your close, dear, and near ones feel about you clicking insects?
That's a good question. Actually, the family is very supportive,
Right.
and the command my wife used to do, so people, when I am a photographer and I'm taking photos, they will ask my wife, you have a good photographer at home, so you can have many photos of yours, without any difficulty. She will say, no, his camera can only take photos of butterflies and all, not not, not people.
Yeah.
And this I go on every weekends, and then come back with a lot of mud on my shoes, and she will tell, put your shoes outside, and don't enter like this. And all those sort of difficulties are there for the family, but no, they are very supportive. They enjoy my photography. And my
Right.
son used to come with me for photography, eldest one. He
Mhm.
was also part of SPCF, and now he has grown up and working somewhere. And the second one also started coming for photography. And last year we went to me and my second son. We went to a place called Agumbe in Karnataka,
Mhm.
where we shoot snakes and frogs at night. That was an incredible experience.
Mhm. So night photography, again, the equipment is different, right? Other than the normal, what you call the lenses and the lights. Do you use special equipment for night photography?
Yes, definitely. You need diffuser lights. Uh,
Mhm.
you will be able to capture at night.
The night insect life, nocturnal insects,
Yeah.
specific like fireflies. How difficult is it to capture them? Because it seems like they are just out there for 1 second.
Mainly, night insects are moths. They are like butterflies, but they are nocturnal. They move
Mhm.
at night, and these moths are there is a very beautiful, incredible variety of moths. You use diffuser lights, and you go out at night, and you will be able to find. Uh, and actually, we have gone for a trip in uh, Assam and Meghalaya in April, and we have went to a place in Meghalaya, and we reached at night on particular homestay. And
Mhm.
when we reached there, we noticed it was in the middle of some sort of a, I'll not say jungle, but it is a highly vegetated area. And in the middle there was only on this particular building, and there was a lot of moths. We reached there at 11 o'clock. We are supposed to sleep and then go in the early morning. But when we see these moths, we we forget about the sleep, and then we shooting the modes. This is the my best experience in shooting insects at night.
Uh-huh. And if you want to rate your best experience during daytime, what will it be?
Uh, I won't say there is a best experience. Every week is a best experience. There are 4 or 5 people. We go together every weekend, and we go to some places, and we look for insects. We shoot. The experience is best. Uh, Sometimes we don't find much insects. We don't mind much to photograph, but the experience of going, spending time with nature, looking for them, finding, taking photos, this enjoy this experience. Actually, I am working in the construction field. I'm a civil engineer, and
Mhm.
my weekdays are filled with that sort of experience. And the weekends, spending time with nature, taking photographs. That's actually my recharging. Uh,
Mhm. Now,
yeah.
let me, as a parent, as a photographer, what is the best way for a person, like if he wants to be a photographer professionally, what is the best way to convince a parent? Because you would know as a photographer as well as a parent.
Taking photography as a profession, uh, that depends on the person. If somebody want to do it as a profession, it is up to that person, and
No, no, how would how would that person convince a parent?
how to convince a parent depends on the parent also. Some some parents will never get convinced.
Right,
And uh, it depends on that person. If you feel that is my profession, that is my field, that person has to choose it. And
right,
that try to convince the parents. But how to convince a parent, I don't know.
right. Like,
Yeah.
if at all, if your son comes and tells you that I want to be a professional photographer, what would be the right words be? Let me put it in that way.
That as a parent, I feel if my child chooses his field, the child chooses his career, and I will let him do that. I don't have to object. I will try to guide him. I can give him some lecture on the pros and cons, but
Mhm.
ultimately I support whatever path he chooses.
Right. Now, your experiences around the world, your experience with nature, your experience with people, I would say you have a lot of life lessons which you have got. Now, 78 years of Indian independence, many pictures have been clicked about the different parts of India and all that. So, putting these two together, life lessons and India, on this Independence Day, what would be your message be?
Uh, Chris, uh, life lessons. I believe that um, being a balanced person. It's very important to be a balanced person. You need to have focus on your family. You need to have focus on your health. You need to have a focus on your job, profession, as well as you need a hobby. You need a spouse. So you need some avenue where you can do service to the society.
Mm.
So when you become a balanced person, that's when you will find peace and you will find happiness. And and first of all, when you become a happy person, a peaceful person, it spreads to your family. Then the happy, peaceful families will spread to the society, and that's where you can build a happy, peaceful society. So it starts from you.
Right, right. We have Kabir. Yes, Kabir is an entrepreneur and a scaling strategist. Yes, Kabir, the stage is all yours.
Hi, Dr. Chris and Manu. It's a pleasure to be here, and it was a privilege for me to be with Manu for like lot of the shoots, and not lot of the shoots. So sometimes I get opportunity. In the early morning, 2:30, I get a ring, and 3 o'clock to 3:30, I jump in his car. Then we go, and the magic which I see is that when we go to an area where insects are there, I see insects coming to him waiting to be photographed. That is one thing uh, which has amused me. Can you tell me how do you do it?
Kabir, thank you, thank you, Kabir. We used to spend, go for some photography morning trips, and I used to take photographs, and he used to wander there. I don't know what he was doing. He used just to enjoy the nature. I can see that, and he's thinking of scalable projects and so on. So, and um, your question is how the insects coming to me. Actually, I am going to the insects, and they're also coming to me. As I said, the way you approach the uh, the love for your nature, I think that is somehow conveyed to the nature, the beings of nature also, and that I feel there is a relation. There are instances where which is not bound to logic, but I have instances where I have was able to see some photographic frames. Like morning, I am imagining that I will see this specific insects in this particular form, and I have instances where then I have experienced and I have seen them actually. When before I go to the field while driving, also I was thinking I may get this insect in this particular form today, and I have experienced a number of times this. Thank you, Kabir.
Well, thank you, Kabir, and let me also thank all those who have joined late. Malavika Roy, Arnab Basu, Viren Bhatia, Srijit G. Ani, Arun Prakash, and the rest of those who have joined recently. Yes, Chandana, you've joined recently. And if you have any questions, you can take, I think we have time for. one or two more questions which we can take. That's all the time we have for this particular session of Just Seriously. And if you have a question, all you have to do is raise your virtual hand and I can bring you upstage so that you can interact with Manu Reghurajan. Now, let me move to the aspect of, say, if I want to start now, what is the basic config of a camera that I should be possessing? And would you advise to have just to follow a kit lens, or would you suggest specific lenses which I should be buying?
This question I think I have answered before. No, I would suggest to go for a basic.
No. The earlier one you said it's a basic, but I'm specifically asking, like, if I want to buy a camera, what would be the basic camera config be? Should I go for a DSLR as low as say 1100D, or maybe should I go for the 5D, or should I go? I'm being very specific. That's what I want to ask.
Now it's the field of mirrorless cameras, and DSLR is going to be extinct very soon. So to start with a basic mirrorless camera will do. It can be any brand, Canon or Sony, and there are many models. Anything which is in the range of 3,500, 4,000 dirhams will be a good camera to start with.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on your budget also. If you have a lesser budget, even you can go for a second-hand camera. It's not issue. This is the learning.
Right. Now, at this point, I would like to get your parting notes and your thoughts.
Thank you, Kriss, for having me in your session. And thank you, Kabir, also for inviting me into this. And my message is, as I have told before, let's be a balanced person. Have a hobby. Take care of your family. Take care of your health, and have interest in your or concentration on your profession, and be a balanced person. That will make you happy, and that will make you contented, and that will add to the society or spread to the society.
Right.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much, Manuji. And I would take this as an opportunity to share the insight that I've got. Uh, at any stage, if you feel that you have a passion, find out the right way to approach it. Have a mentor. Work steadily towards it. Find that specific focus where you are putting your heart into, and give it all that you have, and have an attitude that the whole passion comes to you rather than you running behind it. So the lesson what I take home today is that whatever I'm doing, if I do it steadily for years, probably the last time when you started photography, the Jupiter, it has come down to that level because it's turned 12 years. And I wish you years and years ahead filled with great photographs, and may you have the pleasure of taking many more nature's beauty hidden in that minute macro level, which is your subject, the insects. So thank you very much, Manu, and it is a real pleasure, and I would take it as a learning today. Whatever we had chat, though we specifically were talking about photography, I would thank you for the life lessons and the idea of being balanced, which is the right thing, what I feel, what humans are missing these days. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chris. The pleasure is mine. Yeah.
You're always welcome. Just Seriously, voicing thoughts with me, Kriss Venugopal, every Thursday, 9:30 p.m. India time and 8 p.m. UAE time. So until the next week, when we talk with another person, it's good night and be happy always. Thank you very much, and
Thank you. Good night, Chris.
good night.